Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Extra podcast. I am here, Sean, with my co host, Simi. Say hello to everybody, Simi.
What's going on, guys?
We are excited for another episode. We have a couple of new things this week. We're starting to get back into some action, some actual interaction. Um, and then, of course, some of our joyful transfer news that we have had for the last few weeks. So, more of that. But before we get started, Simi, if you want to go ahead and tell everybody what they should do and where they can find us.
Yeah, guys, as per usual, you already know what to do. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you comment any opinions you have on anything we talk about on this podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Podcast, make sure you go give us a good rating. Share with your friends as per usual. And if you're not watching on YouTube already, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You can see our beautiful faces on here. So if you haven't watched us on YouTube before, make sure you go check it out. It's good to watch during your lunch break, during whatever, evening, relax, whatever. Um, yeah, so make sure you go show some love. Also show love to the Twitter. We just hit 67K. Thank you guys. We're closing in on 70K. So yeah, make sure you guys lock in and hit the follow button there as well. But yeah, Sean, take it away. You know what happened this week.
Yeah. Since we last recorded, it's crazy. It's been what, just 5 days since we recorded, 6 days, I guess five and a half, 6 days. But we've had two preseason games. So
Yep.
we've had Monaco last Friday and then Monza last night. Um, and I guess we can start with Monaco because that was the first one. Um, a strong lineup for that one. Really strong lineup. It seems like we're not going to have anything different from last season when it comes to our strongest lineup, except maybe Sucic
Yeah.
being thrown in there,
Yeah.
which you know I'm super excited about. I think everybody that follows me on Twitter knows how much I think Mkhitaryan needs to. We need to move on from him as a fifth, sixth choice role player. Sure, but seeing Sucic in the starting lineup and seeing Kivu kind of trust him all preseason, Club World Cup, what we've seen in preseason, I'm enjoying that a lot. So, um, yeah, just yeah, the lineup we have the strongest back three. So we have Sommer in goal, Pavard, Acerbi, Bastoni. Instead of Dumfries, I don't think he's ready quite yet. We had Luis Enrique, Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Sucic, DiMarco, Martinez, and Thuram. So that is the Champions League final lineup, but Sucic instead and Enrique.
Yeah.
So, um, what did you think though? Other than, of course, I'm sure we'll probably let's start with the red card, the double yellow.
You know what's funny, yeah? Before the match, or when the match started, I had this thought about like, oh yeah, you know, like how somehow like in some friendlies, the refs manage to send someone off, and then both teams want the player to stay because the point of a friendly is to play 11v11 to get a good, friendly
Mhm.
for both teams, because it's not about winning, it's about getting in a good game. And so I was like thinking, like at the start of the game, it'd be funny if it happened this game, like genuinely. And then I saw the first two yellow cards, I was like, bro, someone's gonna get sent off here, innit? Because he was dishing them out. Again, they were fair yellow cards, but then to send someone off first half, yeah, plus, yeah, it wasn't even like, okay, it was kind of dangerous. But the tackle itself was clean. And he gives him a
Mhm.
second yellow for it. I'm sitting here like, I had to, like, guys, if you don't know, midweek games, so Monday to Friday, because Thomas is working, it's usually me tweeting the live games. I was sitting there, I was genuinely like, I really need to tweet about a red card in a friendly now. Like, I could not believe that that was the case. But yeah, nah. I think we all share the same opinion on that, right? It was just stupid.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I if he wants to give the red card, you live with the decision. What really I thought was so stupid and annoying is that Monaco's manager, Hutter, actually tried to ask to allow someone else to come on the
yeah,
pitch, right? You get a red card in a friendly, sure, that guy can't come back on the pitch. I get that because that's the rules of the game. But he wants his team to prepare for their season, which I think starts this weekend.
It was their last friendly, yeah.
Like we were their last test before they started the season. He wants to get that ready against an Inter squad, an 11-man Inter squad. I get that. And the ref still said no, right? If it was just Inter saying, hey, please just let us put an 11th player back on the pitch, and he goes over and asks, and he was like, well, no, I want to play this. I want to play them against 10 right now. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But he was also at, yeah, it was just, whoever that ref is just hurt their own career.
That's why I said usually the other team also wants you to continue with 11 because of the because it's a preparation game pretty much. But yeah, I wanna get back to what you said about Sucic, right? Because I know you're a big fan of him, and I think we all are. I think he's showing very positive signs. We kind of get that like Kovacic, Brozovic vibe in terms of the talent that they have, the kind of understanding of the game in midfield. And he seems very similar. Obviously, he's his own type of player. You can't compare him to Brozovic or Kovacic or anyone that's been at Inter that's Croatian. But he's promising, yeah, and I really like him. And the fact that he started that game kind of showed me that people like plans for him, because you could see against Monza. We'll get into Monza, right? But you could see against Monza was more like a B team, and he tried to rest as many of the starters as he could. And so with the fact that Sucic was in that 11, I really liked it, and I think he had a good game as well. I think I don't think he had a bad performance at all yet. Like some games were like okay-ish, also in the Club World Cup, but mostly I liked what I saw, right? And so yeah, I can pull it up again here, guys. But yeah, it was a 2-1 win. Since we didn't mention that, yeah, it was a 2-1 win. Goals by Lautaro and Boni, and Magnus Aklush, who we actually linked with during the week, which we'll get onto as well, scored a banger with his left foot. Something that we also don't have, a left-footed forward. And then, yeah, Inter came back with one man down. Red card was around 35th minute. And then, yeah, Lautaro did Tilo Kehrer absolutely horrendous. That picture doesn't really help the defender, but hey,
Oh, man. He got both
sat down.
Lautaro and Boni.
Bro, same goal, literally same goal. Boni sat him down as well. So, yeah.
That poor guy.
But yeah,
He's been everywhere though. So yeah, I liked, and of course we got to talk about Monza, and we want to get to all the other news, so we won't talk too much about this. But um, I like that we were able to come back down from 10 men. Also, we had to play somewhat of like we played both a 4-3-2 and a 3-4-2
yeah.
at times. And so like Barella and Sucic were kind of a double pivot for the end of that first half, which I liked because we have been talking and thinking about changing formations so we can see that those two work together in that, that midfield duo.
Yeah.
Um, and then everyone is really low on Luis Enrique, and I didn't hate what I saw. And I know you tweeted this out after the Monaco game, I believe. It might have been Thomas actually, but that maybe there's not a reason to kind of hate on the guy so much right now.
It wasn't me.
Like just
No, I will say this. I'm not the biggest fan of what I'm seeing right now, but I do think that we're jumping on him too quickly. I know I made my jokes about, every game he plays is like that Bolassi comp or whatever. Like, listen, that doesn't mean that everything is bad what we're seeing. It's just like, again, it's not like after a few games we have to throw him under the bus and say it's wasted money, whatever. Some people are actually exaggerating and saying it's wasted money. I don't see that. I personally don't see that. I think there's potential there, and also in his interview that he did with, I think Gazzetta, we'll get into it. He he's very much motivated to improve. So I do
yeah.
think there's a player there. I just feel like we do this all the time as Interisti, oh, Darbert, Lazaro, like those kind of comparisons. Like, bro, give him a few months, give him a few months.
Mm.
Hopefully he doesn't end up like Buchanan, where, maybe an injury happens as well and then he's completely gone. But like, let's give him a chance.
Yeah, and if he is like those players, we have to wait and see for that to happen before we start doing that, because it's like we're doing
Exactly.
this and he hasn't even played a real competitive match yet. Like, yeah, I know the Club World Cup technically was a competitive match, but he was at Inter and a part of the squad for 3 minutes before he, got substituted on. It's not real, into the team and trusting the players and knowing what he's supposed to be doing. Like, there's a couple times where I saw him actually, first of all, pass with his left foot, which is incredible on the wing. The last wing back that we had do that was Hakimi,
Yeah.
right wing back that could pass with his left foot. And then if he starts to actually understand the system and the wingback role and what he needs to do in Inter's wingback role, not in De Zerbi's Marseille wingback role, but this one, and he can start making those runs, he's going to be a weapon. And I hope that he can do it. Not saying that he's going to, but just, yeah, not throwing this label on him already. Um, Kind of wanted to mention that because really the new guys are who I'm watching when it comes to these friendlies.
Yeah, yeah. I heavily agree. Again, guys, if you see a tweet on me, like of me hating on Luis Enrique, just know, like, you guys should know, if you know me, you know that my tweets are never that serious anyway, right? There's obviously kids on Twitter that will be like, oh, but you was saying excellent. Let's be real, it's Twitter, okay? And I do try and be careful with what I say, because I do know that a lot of players do read. I know a lot of players deny it, but we all know players read social media. So I am trying to be careful, and everyone, I think, should be careful with what they say, to not say some like outrageous stuff. But you can, like, it is that at the end of the day there to for us to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Twitter's there to laugh. Twitter's there to have fun. And so sometimes, you might see a troll tweet here or there, but to say very serious accusations, like comparisons to Dalbert, um, I think too early. So yeah, but like you said, we don't want to focus too much on that friendly. I did like what I saw.
Mhm.
But we had another friendly yesterday, which was against Monza at the UPass Stadium, which is obviously the new home of the under 23s. And yeah, it ended it ended all square, guys. And there was a penalty shootout after, which Inter won. So guys, actually we're 3 out of 3 for friendlies. Good stuff right there. But no, the actual result was a 2-2, and for me that's a 2-2. If there's a penalty shootout in friendlies, bro, like all these new like preseason cups that they're having, just like wrap it up. In my honest opinion. But less positives in this game, I think, which was more like a snooze fest, really. I was reporting it, I tweeted like 10 tweets and then it was it. Very, very boring. The only positive, that like real standout that I saw, was this kid right here, Francesco Pio Esposito. Another strong performance. Not out of this world, but with how average the whole game was from both sides, he was great. Scored a great goal
Yeah.
too, and I think overall, the standout player from this match.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have a number 9. It's so nice that we're gonna be able to use him as a focal point because he's so much different than like Boni and Turam are kind of similar. Um, I think they have some differences between them, but obviously everyone kind of sees the similarities. And then Lautaro is completely different from anybody else that we have. Uh, and so it's good to have Pio as well, who is again completely different. And I tweeted it out yesterday, I think, or might have been today. I made the joke, again, a little too early. Don't take these tweets seriously, but we finally got our Icardi replacement.
I saw that, yeah, I saw that. I had to chuckle a little bit as well, because I was like, a man can dream. A man can dream that he's
Mhm.
turning into Icardi or better. But no,
Mhm.
I really liked what I saw, and also some positive sights. We saw Leonardo Bovo and Mattia Mosconi give their debuts. Bit unfortunate, because when all the kids got subbed on, we conceded that 2-2 offside goal. It was actually offside.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it yet, pretty obvious. But Mosconi kind of played like a right wing back, which was kind of weird to see. But yeah, so Mosconi made his debut, and Leonardo Bovo, who is like a regista kind of midfielder from the Primavera now under 23. Yeah, good for them to get that experience as well. And yeah, anything else you want to say on that Monza game? Because I don't have much to say. Again, I feel like it was more like, you know, just not really worth mentioning because of how boring it was. I don't really think there was much progress that you saw compared to the Monaco game.
Yeah, just I'm glad that Martinez got his opportunity and goal, even though those
True.
goals were one wasn't really his fault, but then the offside goal as well. Like he should still be doing better against that offside goal.
Yeah.
One on one, you want your goalkeeper to come to your rescue in those situations when a player like that isn't offside, right?
Yeah.
You need to be ready. So, was hoping a little bit better from him, but it was good. It's just, I'm looking at it right now, and everybody was substituted at the 70th minute, which is good. Like
Yeah.
we're getting legs, we're getting 70 minutes in our legs, and we've got 10 days or 11 days till our first game. So,
Correct.
I like to see that from this rotated side, because they might have to take some of the they might be need to be ready first because the first team's not going to be fully fit because they needed a little bit extra time and they've been exhausted for 4 years or so. So um, that's also what I liked in addition to PO, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Again, I don't have much else to say, but well said. We also had an under 23 friendly, which I don't think was streamed anywhere, nor did I see any highlights or nothing. But it was against Pro Vercelli, which is a Serie A side. And goals were scored by Cinquegrano, Kamate, Topalovic, and Mosconi. So good to see four different guys on the score sheet. Yeah, and a good friendly win for the under 23s. And then
I do want to say just one thing about um about the U23 side playing Pro Vercelli. So they finished 17th
okay,
last year in the same group that we are in this Group A of Serie C.
okay,
They finished 17th, um, 5 points below safety in Serie C, like
okay,
mid-table.
yeah,
They had to play in a relegation playoff, which of course they survived. Um, this is a good sign for me, I
yeah.
think.
Good for context.
Um,
Thank you for bringing that up.
yeah. So 4-1 is a like safe, healthy scoreline. Um, of course, Pro Vercelli is not the best in Serie C. It's not like they're challenging for the promotion or qualification playoffs.
Yeah,
Regardless, though, this is good. This is a good sign because they start competitive play in 3 days. So, um, yeah, good signs. I hope that it continues. And what this tells me is that even with this young squad and how they're going to be up and down, I think they'll win a good amount of games and they'll be able to finish mid-table, I think.
yeah. Again, I think the ambitions that we mentioned last week about them pushing for Serie B, a bit ambitious, but you never know. Again, this is a result that clearly confirms that the first 2 weeks of training have been good work, but we'll have to wait and see if that's actually if they can actually perform that way week in, week out. And like you said, the first competitive match is on Saturday, I think, on the 16th, in the Serie C Coppa Italia against Lumezzane. So we'll be watching that if there's a stream available, of course. And depending on what time it is, because the friendly against Olympiacos is on Saturday as well at 8:30 p.m. So we won't actually see any youth players in that friendly either, because obviously they'll be with on the 23 side. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that though, and we'll be looking forward to that cup game. Yeah, into the transfer news, I guess. The the regular, I guess, we're tired of it already. Ademola Lookman
Yeah.
saga. Who is currently training alone in England. So he was in Portugal for a while, and then he's now training in England. He's far from fully match fit, according to Sky Sports, and it's difficult to see him featuring in the opening matches of the season for anyone, right, regardless of where he is. Which I know some people have been saying, is that worth it if he can't even do a preseason plus feature in the first 3-4 games? Probably not before the international break. People are saying that that kind of takes the value down. Like, okay, how many games is he actually going to play? I don't think that far, but I guess he's injured right now, so we kind of just have to like take that. And then this is just the last tweet that I saw, which was an hour ago, which is that Inter's priority remains Ademola Lookman, and although there is a complete agreement on personal terms, the deal is not yet in the final stages. It's interesting how Florian Plettenberg says not yet, because this is obviously an indication, I guess, that it will be in the final stages at some point.
Mhm.
I don't know how or why he would know more from Germany rather than journalists in Italy. Maybe it's just something that he was like misunderstood or whatever. I didn't actually see the quote in German, then maybe it would make a bit more sense. Um, I will try and find it though, because if it does say something else in German, then obviously I'll try and make sense of that. But it's interesting that that's the way it's worded. And then there was some quotes, one by Simone Tonio on the Italian Football Podcast, who was interviewed by Nima. Make sure you guys check it out if you haven't already. He said that the price might be more towards 55 million, which is interesting because we have some news. This is this is the first on the channel, guys. A tweet not from Inter Extra on the Inter Extra podcast, because Fabrizio Romano has tweeted that Atalanta are confident to get Rodrigo Muniz deal done with Fulham as talks are advancing, which is basically going to be the Ademola Lookman replacement. Great striker. I've watched him before. One of my favorite strikers in the Premier League, actually. And there's been some other sources that said like he's basically one step away. You know, it's like they're finalizing the deal, not just confident, actually finalizing the deal, which is a step further. And then that would mean that they can let Ademola Lookman leave without having to worry about a replacement, right? And now we also had a tweet during the week. I think I tweeted that, where Ademola Lookman is more likely to leave if Atalanta find a replacement. Now, if Muniz signs in the next few days, that could be promising, right? But the question is, are we actually going to pay 50 million or do we need to pay 55 million? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 55 million until Inter meets that asking price, and then the moment that Inter meet that asking price, it's going to be 60 million. So then once Inter meet that 60 million asking price, it's going to be 65 million. And then once Inter meet that 65 million asking price, it's going to be 70 million.
And then it's
And that's kind of
Christmas.
yeah, that's what Simone Tonya kind of said in Nima's interview at the Italian Football Podcast. Is that Procasti doesn't want to sell Lookman in Italy. And so that's why it's 55 million right now, because Inter thinks it's 50 million,
Yeah.
right? And it could increase any time that Inter gets close. And so I've been saying, group chats, tweeting, replying to people, don't move. Don't make any moves until it's August 31st. And Atalanta only have one option to sell him, and it's us. I don't think that we should have been putting our entire Mercato on pause for this guy either. And that's going to be the problem. That's going to be our downfall this season.
Well, that's
Is
because
that
of the
we are
exits, right? Because we need to sell first. Because we need to sell Taremi, we need to sell Aslani. No? Or am I? Especially
well,
Taremi because of the
you're
position.
not. Yes, you're not wrong. But the thing is like if those guys were reported to be the ones that needed to leave to fund Leoni, and we didn't need to sell anybody for Lookman to come in, switch it around. You go get a center back, because we're going to talk on
Yeah,
Leoni in a little
we'll
bit.
we'll get to that.
Go get a center back with the money that you know that you have right now that you don't have to sell anybody for yet.
Yeah.
And then you work on selling the other guys until the end of the window, because Lookman, if he wants just Inter and nobody else is coming in for Lookman, there's nowhere he's going until August 31st or September 1st when the transfer window closes, right? He's going nowhere. So sit on it, do all of your other stuff, and play hardball with Atalanta, right? Because Percassi does not want to sell to us. It doesn't matter how early we come back with another offer.
Yeah.
He has to be given an ultimatum.
We know this, and we know that Percassi is stubborn. We like, especially when it comes to that stuff. And Italian teams are, I think, the worst out of all the top 5 leagues in terms of selling to a club from the same league, because Percassi obviously knows that Lookman doesn't want to go anywhere else. All other clubs know this because no one even tried. I know Napoli, Arsenal rumors. I didn't even put it in there because to me, it doesn't, like, it's pointless because Lookman doesn't want to go anywhere else. And so that's why no one else is coming in for him because they know that
They're
there's no
also
chance to convince him and eat anyway.
yeah, they're calling those clubs, from my understanding. Like
Oh yeah,
Arsenal
yeah,
was contacted
yes.
to
Was offered
So
Ademola look well
yeah,
offered. We always hear that, but what does it actually mean? But yes, you're right.
it's like we have this player. He came through the English ranks. He could technically count as like a because England has all of these leagues have similar rules. Like you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players or players from like your nation's youth league setup.
Yeah,
And so look count for that because he came through. It was Fulham, was it not? No, no, no.
you're
It
asking
was
me
one of
questions.
Fulham.
So I should
No,
know
you're
this as
good.
well because one of my boys is like his this is not a flex by the way, guys. One of my boys is like his best friend and they grew up together in school. Shout out Sam. I don't know if Sam is listening. Um, he's a streamer. He he was at Fulham, but I don't know if it was academy.
I think, yeah, it might have been Everton.
No, because Lookman is from London. He's from London, so he definitely came
He's
up in
from
a
London.
London club. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, he's
okay.
from Southeast
Well,
London.
regardless, right? So yeah, grew up in Southeast London. So I think they're trying to get Arsenal in for that point. It's like, hey, look, this will benefit your squad. Arsenal don't have issues with that.
Yeah,
They have a ton of English players on their team. They're not worried about that. Um, Lookman doesn't want to go there. It's just, it's crazy. We keep talking about it. And so the last thing that I want to say is to reiterate my tweets and things. Sit on it. Don't do a single thing because Percassi is not going to sell to us until it's his last option.
I wonder if Beppe thinks the same and Arcelio. I wonder if they're thinking the same way right now, and if we actually won't hear anything until because there was supposed to be talks today. I remember Nicola Schira tweeted that there was supposed to be talks today, or new contacts today, and we know Schira's usually like he has his like hit and miss tweets, but it would make sense, because after a few days off and Beppe was in New York and whatever, maybe that, or maybe they're just doing your tactic. I would probably do that as well. Don't do nothing. He can't play anyway because he's injured. Because I don't know how he would how would he do medicals right now if he was injured anyway. Maybe that's the whole point of the thing anyway. I don't think anyone's really mentioning that because he couldn't do medicals until like the last week when he's fit again, right?
Yeah, yeah, medicals as well sometimes. I don't know exactly the process, but I know that injured players can be transferred. The thing is that you do all of the other tests that you can do. So like heart health,
Yeah,
bone structure, all of these other things. He just couldn't do a running test, because it's his ankle.
it's his calf
That's
now.
his calf.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, um, like you can get around that as long as he's got a calf injury. We're working on it. So you do all the other tests. Um, so it's kind of, I don't know if whoever, all you listeners, if you've done athletics before, especially in the US, you go through a physical. Like they just check to make sure you're healthy. I would imagine these medicals are similar. It's just a little bit more intense because it is a professional sport.
it reminds me of when we signed Zalewski and he played a game before even doing his medicals. And then the morning after the game, I tweeted that he did his medicals. These guys were asking how he played a game before doing his medicals, which was funny.
Look, Jekko played in a friendly before we even signed
Yeah,
him.
that was
So
also a good one. Yeah, I remember that. Um, yeah, I do want to move on to the next player though, because obviously again we'll probably talk about it next week. We already know we are, but
yeah.
we'll see what ends up happening. Probably in like 2-3 weeks in the podcast where it'll actually get important what actually happens with him. But guys, we had some funny rumors on the guy that scored on us, Manis Akliush, the banger that he scored in the friendly. Apparently, we were interested in him, and then the price tag is 70 million. When I saw that, I was like, okay, let's be serious, guys. And then
Yeah,
same thing.
that's a call. We're interested.
And
70
Monaco
million.
said, all right,
Okay.
cool, never mind, let's hang up. And Fabrizio did confirm that literally a couple of hours or a day after saying Inter's not in talks to sign Magnus Aklush as his price is deemed too high. Obviously it is, right? Obviously it
Yeah.
is. But obviously he would be younger than Lookman and he would also be left-footed.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's also not a striker, so we would have to switch to a 3-4-2-1.
Mhm.
So yeah, not
Yeah.
really ideal. And I do not really want to focus on any alternatives, guys, because in the last like 3, 4 episodes, we've talked about alternatives plenty of times. Nico Gonzalez, and then that was kind of gone. But the same kind of players keep popping up. The main guy that keeps popping up is Christopher Nkunku, whose wages are again way too high for it to make sense. It's probably more unlikely, less likely than Lookman, right? Because his wages are so high at Chelsea. Similar to Jadon Sancho, but Sancho's wages aren't that high. But I didn't even put a tweet of Sancho here because again, it's just names that have been thrown out there like over and over and over again. If you guys really want to know who the like other options are, we've mentioned them plenty of times on the last few podcasts. Sorry, on the last few episodes. But we do have a tweet again from Florian Plettenberg from the German Sky Sports, saying that Inter has expressed its interest in Christopher Nkunku, who is one to watch until deadline day with Leipzig, his former club, and then Bayern also interested in other clubs, which again just kind of tells me he's probably going to go back to the Bundesliga, kind of like Sancho used to do with Dortmund. It for me, there's no point talking about replacements or alternatives. Sorry, because the focus is still on Lookman, and unless there's a definitive no, and even Lookman himself gives up, which I don't think will happen before August 31st, we won't have to talk about alternatives until the last few hours of August 31st, in my personal opinion.
Yep, I'm with you.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say on that, guys. All I want to say on that. We have to move on. Thank you. We have to move on to two here we goes that again, as you can see by the replies, people are not taking that well. First of all, Giovanni Leoni, who is joining Liverpool literally just an hour ago. Fabrizio gave us the here we go. Yeah, this was kind of out of nowhere. I don't even think we had Liverpool on the list last week in terms of the clubs that would be coming in for him. We knew about Juventus interest, we knew about Milan interest, which is also off completely because of something that we're going to talk about. But this literally started a few days ago, and they advanced like really quickly, and then there were talks of him being loaned back to Parma for the upcoming season, for this season. And then even that was denied. So he's literally just going to Liverpool literally this week. Yeah, again, the top comment kind of says it all, 16 likes. Bremer, Buongiorno, Leoni, what's next? You kind of have to ask yourself, because we keep missing out on these centre backs. We're still stuck with Acerbi and De Vrij. I'm saying this in the nicest way possible. Again, this is it can't in the famous words of that West Brom manager, it can't go on like this, it can't go on like this. But let me know what you think.
You want to know what the end to this is?
It can.
Both De Vrij and Acerbi retiring.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the only way that this ends.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
It is the only way.
And then who's going to play? Alexio?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're going to find our own Leoni in our academy.
Oh yeah, we're going to find our own Giovanni Leoni according to Beppe. Yeah, thank you. If you guys missed that from the episode with Shama. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very frustrated. I mean, like infuriated, because this should have been the priority, right? Yep. We talked about in June, Francesco Acerbi having a clause in his contract where we could terminate it.
Yeah, 0.5 million. Right. It was one of the first episodes too.
Mm-hmm. You do that early, he finds another club. Like, you're not screwing him over. You're moving on. It's a business decision. But our management is too soft.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it with our departures as well. Just the incapability of doing anything is infuriating.
I would even say it's doing anything bold, but I don't even want to say bold or brave, because it's not even about being brave. And when I say you, I mean the board and the club. You and Oaktree have set clear guidelines or clear, goals to rejuvenate the squad and to actually change something. And yet we're stuck in this we'll just kind of stay with whatever we've known, whatever we're comfortable with. No, you need to get uncomfortable. This is a top club. This is Inter, you know? You can't be dragging out these deals. I'm not even talking about Lookman because that's a bit of a different one. You know, we don't have to sign Lookman. We already have like a good strikers department now, you know? But it's, if we're talking about rejuvenating the squad and especially the defense, you have to be ruthless. Send Acerbi out, you know what I'm saying? Send him into retirement or into Saudi, to MLS, whatever. And get Leon. If you're a serious club, if you want to prove, not just to your competition, but just to the world of football, that you're a serious club, you've just been to 2 Champions League finals in the last 3 seasons, and you can't follow through on a move like that, which would and should be a statement transfer, and you're just kind of half-hearted about it. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I think that's the part that infuriates me the most. Not even that he's going to Liverpool, not even that he's going, which also, as a Serie A fan, makes me kind of sad. But not just that, it's mainly the fact that it was a half-hearted approach. Even on the opening day press conference, you could tell that it was just kind of like the way Beppe talked about him. It was half-hearted. It was like, oh yeah, we like him, blah, blah, blah. This is not how you operate as Inter, and especially as the Inter of the last few years. This is something that is very disappointing, from my personal opinion.
It's lazy as well, because if you go in and you have an idea of what your Mercato should be, and you can't even do the first part, the selling part, what was the plan to begin with? What are you doing for the Mercato to improve the squad? I get it. You know that you're about to lose. You want to move on from 3 of your midfielders, Mkhitaryan, uh, Aslani, Zielinski, and so you bring in Sucic
Yeah,
because you know that those contracts are ending. At some point, it's going to happen. Great. You made one good move in January, and then you redeemed Zalewski because you don't pass up that kind of deal, that opportunity. I mean, 6 million for a player that we now see plays left and right wing back, left wing. He can play Metzala. You know, he can play an attacking mid. Just a versatility piece.
yeah,
It's kind of like the opposite of Darmian. Darmian's the defensive version, the versatility. Wing back, full back, center back. You know, you can play him on both sides of wing back. Just
yeah,
wherever he needs to be fit in. And great, awesome. Um, and then you started to act like you were about to invest, and you talk about all the money that you're going to spend, and you can't even think of multiple ways of getting done what you want done. Like, okay, so you're gonna stop everything for Lookman, and then end up not getting Leoni because you wanted Lookman first. That's where we have the money to go spend. Get Lookman first, and then we can sell for Leoni. Well, why don't you just flip it? Right? You have the opportunity. If you have the money, you can go get Leoni in June, at the end of June, because apparently you've been wanting him for 2 seasons now. And we'll talk about um, Ausilio's comments later. But you've been following him for 2 seasons. You didn't get him before he went to Sampdoria. You didn't get him before he goes to Parma. And now, the season when you should have got him, he's now going to the Premier League, which means you're not going to see him for at least 5 years. 6 years, sorry. His contract's till 2031. You're not going to see him for 6 years because you're not buying him from the Premier League at 23 years old. You kidding me? They're going to charge you 60 million on the last year of his contract. So you have to wait for it to expire, and then can you match the wages that he would get at that point? No, you
no,
can't. So this is a player that's gone from Italy for 6 years. And so what are you going to do? You're going to wait for the next center back to come? Buongiorno, I don't really put on the management because he was always Napoli's. Inter saw the price, and we were the ones that tried to steal him from Napoli.
yeah. It was never our main, yeah, like
Yeah,
in our
but
core.
Bremer, Dybala, Leoni, it could end up being Lookman. Like these are awful, awful decisions.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And I said this,
Mm.
I said this in June. I don't know how the transfer market works, and I'm sure there's someone that probably is going to correct me in the comments, and I want you guys to correct me. But if we were really serious in terms of rejuvenating the squad and Oaktree were really serious about it, they would invest regardless of departures. We have to sell the guys that we want to sell anyway, regardless of us bringing in Leoni, Lookman, whatever, right? We have to sell anyway. So maybe it's a matter of financially, we have to sell these guys before we get them. Or is it a matter of we have to make space in the squad before, for example, with centre back, it would be Palacios. But obviously, Leoni wouldn't replace Palacios. It's just theoretically, Which, by the way, Palacios was the choice last year because the Inter board felt that he was more ready for first team football than Leoni. We all know how that turned out, right? Forget about that. That's okay. That's a mistake you make. Fair enough. But if the problem is making space rather than financially, then I understand selling is also difficult. We see it. Clubs want to lowball when they know that you have to sell. We see that with Aslani. We saw it with Esposito. Esposito to Cagliari is horrible. We'll get into it though. We know that then those clubs want to lowball. They want to get the player for half the price, whatever, because they know that we have to sell in order to bring in players. Someone probably knows better than me in the comments down below. Let me know, guys, if we actually have to make space in order to sign these guys, or if Oaktree's just not committed enough to actually rejuvenate the squad. Because if we're actually committed enough, then these deals would not be a problem. It's a matter of how badly do you want it. And as Inter, and especially as Oaktree with that new strategy, you have to want this badly. And we just completely sold. And guys, I'm even gonna put this onto the use this as an intro for the next tweet that I'm pulling up. Conde de Winter to AC Milan is a here we go. Literally within the space of 6 hours. Not even 6 hours. I think it was 2 hours. I was at the gym, and that, as per usual, guys, this is becoming a usual scene here. I was at the gym, and I'm seeing Conde de Winter is going to AC Milan, or they've made first contacts. 2 hours later, I'm tweeting that there's an agreement in place between the player and the clubs themselves are finalizing the agreement in terms of fee. Milan said, here's 20 million, here's a sell-on clause. Done. Because they were serious about it. Okay, this sold Malik Cha. Again, maybe this is something about selling a player first. But they locked in and they were serious about it. You can say what you want to say. I'm sorry. I've just got a bit emotional.
My head is hot. I have a headache from thinking about this Leoni deal and what it has become. I cannot explain how furious it makes me because it's not just Leoni, right? It's a culmination of things. We are going into this next season with the exact same starting 11.
I think Thomas tweeted this.
Yeah.
I wanted to say this earlier, I forgot. Thomas tweeted this. We are literally... I don't even think Sucic really counts, okay? Because Mkhitaryan was overdue to be replaced as a starter, right? Especially after Inzaghi left. Exactly the same starting 11.
It's laziness. You've had 3 months to get rid of these players. You've called a couple of them out, and they're still playing games, making appearances. Just, yeah, I'm so annoyed and furious at what this management is doing. And Leoni, we're saying it now because Leoni is just the picture. It's like the recent and the most obvious point to make it. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Don't want to say things that I shouldn't.
Yeah, again, guys, we're getting emotional here and we're getting our heads hot because we care about this club. And the problem is that it feels like other people that say they care about the club just don't do it 100%. Are just in it half-heartedly. And it kind of makes you think what could be if we were actually serious and just said to Acerbi, you gotta go. Because let's be real, De Vrij's not leaving. Acerbi is the one that should be leaving, not just because of age, but also because De Vrij has not, in my opinion, again, I'm a personal fan of his, but he has earned that role that he should have to teach a young and upcoming, up and young, sorry, English is not working. See, a young centre back that is, that can learn in his, from De Vrij's ways. That should be how it's supposed to be. But we're not serious enough. Therefore, Acerbi's still here, De Vrij's still here, and we're going into the season with two old centre backs. It's just not serious enough. It's just not serious enough, in my opinion. Guys, we're already at 45 minutes of recording. We're gonna try and breeze through the other stuff quicker. There was a rumor about Inter. And Sean, if you wanna say something about anything that I'm mentioning here, that I'm just scrolling through, then let me know. Just interrupt me. But we're already very advanced. And then but yeah, like I said, so Inter would be ready to make a move for Gigi Donnarumma if the goalkeeper remains at PSG and leaves as a free agent in 2026, which we now know he's come up with a statement, I think, yesterday, addressing the fans and stuff. It's on his Instagram if you guys want to go read it. His agent has spoken with Inter already. The club has asked to be informed of his next moves. Apparently, according to some sources today, he's going to Man City, which doesn't really make sense to me because he's not good with his feet. So we'll see how that turns out. But apparently that's kind of off the table now, so I don't really want to talk too much about that. And then that's everything for incomings, guys, because there's not really much else to talk about. We do have two incomings for the under-23 side. Luca Fiorellino has joined Inter under-23 as a free agent. I think he was at Triestina before in Serie A. So another experienced-ish player. He's 29. And then Antonio David, or however you pronounce it in Romanian, has joined Inter under-23 from Cesena on loan with the option to buy. He is a left back, I believe, or a defender, I'm not too sure. But he is 18 years old, I believe. So 2 signings for the under-23 side. So much on incomings. And then we just talked about it earlier. The Sebastiano Esposito deal is now official. He has joined Cagliari. There was a bit of a back and forth between them and Parma, who's actually going to sign him. It was actually Cagliari. Yeah. On loan with the obligation to buy, so they have to buy him. Obligation to buy usually means like play 3 games and then, some stupid clause.
Yeah, your first game after February 1st.
That's how Mbappe does it. Okay, yeah, there you go. Same with Arnautovic, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then the deal is 4 million plus 50% on future resale, which is always a gamble, you know what I'm saying? Again, I believe that he's going to work out, so again, it's probably going to come in handy in 1-2 seasons, but again, this is a personal one for me because this one hurts. I tweeted that I fell to my knees when I saw this at the gym. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow for me. I'm a big fan of his. I do think
you're a Sebi believer.
Yeah, I do feel like he sorted out his. People always made it a bigger deal than it was. His issues in terms of personality and where people were complaining that he doesn't have the right attitude or whatever. I feel like this is a top player, The fact, again, I've mentioned it plenty of times, if you score 10 goals for that Empoli side, with all due respect to Empoli, that is very, very, very impressive. You know what I mean? So, for 4 million plus 50% on sell-on clause, it's criminal, to be honest, how we've let him go for that when we were supposed to let him go at the start of the transfer window for 12 million, I think, was the asking price. And now it's gone down to 4 million plus 50%.
Yeah. Was it an 8? That just means it's an 8 million valuation. So
ish, yeah, pretty much.
I know I gave you grief, but I was serious, like, thank goodness it's finally over.
Of course, in terms of yes, of course. But you see what I mean,
Yeah.
So we have a goodbye message from him on Instagram. Sorry, let me just it says, I'm endlessly thankful. It's never a goodbye. It was only a dream. See you soon. And then we have some pictures from him from every preseason, basically. But yeah. What do you want to say? Sorry.
No, just I'm glad he's not our new Samuele Longo.
Yeah. That would be even worse. But again, I wish him all the best. I will follow his career very closely, and you never know. There's always a thing where It's an advantage for clubs to have homegrown players as their like you can always buy him back and have an advantage from it if he does explode, if he does, do amazingly. I wish it for him that he does. And then another incoming outgoings, one of the outgoings is Mike Adu, who's joined Pergolitese on a season-long loan, which is also the third division. I put out a tweet about the all these players leaving to the third division to Serie C, and someone explained it to me a little bit, I guess, but I'm still kind of confused on like what the point is of an under 23 team, and I guess you can't really fit in everyone, and then so you have to loan some players out to the same division. But I still don't understand it. Like, then why are you planning with too many players? Why don't you just sell some players? Why don't you just I don't know.
Yeah, no, I did want to address that. So I'm glad that you brought up your tweet in that question. The He's what, 18, 19?
Adu is 18, no 19, I believe. Let me double check. Let me
19.
not give you any wrong information. But yeah, keep going.
Regardless, he's not 23. Like he's not on his way out of this squad. So I don't really understand the need to we've signed what, 4 or 5 wingbacks for this under 23 team. You could just limit it to 2 or 3 and then you actually promote some of your younger guys. Um, but what I think is that of course, their ambition is to comfortably stay in Serie C, maybe challenge for Serie B. And so this is to give Aidu game time with no expectation on him, right? You're going to a team, you're going to help them. Regardless of where they finish, you get to go play and try and help them. And so it takes a little bit of pressure off of him.
Yeah.
And the squad is full and he's 19. So say he has a good season and then you just bring him back next year and now he's actually helping the squad because you move on from another one of the guys,
Possibly even
right?
in
Because
Serie B if by some way they do get promoted.
yeah,
He's 20 by the way. He just turned 20.
okay,
He's a
yeah.
2005.
So that's the only thing I can think of, right? So they overloaded the squad with these new signings, a little bit older. Some of these guys are a little bit older, and then for him, they don't want him playing backup. It's like
Yeah.
we want you to go start somewhere.
I guess it does show that it's not career mode. You know what I'm saying? You don't just put all your youth players in a B team and then it works. Like
Yeah.
I do get that, but then some of the signings are like maybe that is a sign that they're pushing for Serie B, because if you sign a Cincagano from Sassuolo to basically replace Adu, who already had like some first team experience, you're basically saying this is a guy that's ready for Serie B. So then
Mm.
maybe that is the ambition that they're going for. But then you have to say, if that fails, or even if they get relegated, God forbid, like that's when I can come back and say, these loans are useless. So
Yeah.
but again, we'll have to wait and see how those ambitions actually turn out. But yeah, we'll just quickly breeze through some outgoing rumors apart from that, because those are the only two official outgoings that we had.
Yep. Those are the
I
only ones I really wanted to mention as well.
Yeah.
So
Al Nassr had contact with the entourage of Hakan Çalhanoğlu, but guys, there's nothing else on it. So you can basically discard that. He's staying, in my personal opinion. We had Matteo Moretto in one of his videos say that Galatasaray were exploring the possibility of signing Benjamin Pavard. There have been no direct contacts with Inter, only information being exchanged between intermediaries, which is a very common thing, guys. I think a lot of you guys forget this, that this is a very common thing in football. This happens a lot, especially because
also
Inter put him on the market.
Mhm.
Go on.
with Coney de Winter gone, it's not happening.
Oh yeah, that was also a I guess part of the conditions. And then again, we have it confirmed by L'Equipe, but I don't see it happening. Personally. And then we have some news out of Iran where Fulham are in talks to sign Mehdi Taremi, so that could finally be something that is like gets done over the line. Could be finalized within the next few days. The only problem is he needs to reduce his salary, which is interesting for the Premier League, for him to reduce the salary. But he's currently at 3 million a year with Inter, net obviously. So Fulham will have to We'll have to offer him something that satisfies him. And then he'll be, again, one of those players where we say at the end of the day, finally we can offload him. Hopefully we get some sort of a fee for him. From the Premier League, we're more likely to get a fee for him. So let's see what happens. But hopefully, by the end of, by the time we record the next episode, he'll be sold officially. And then we had some rumors on Christian Aslani, the usual, maybe he goes somewhere, maybe he rejects them, you never know. Torino are very interested, but the deal is difficult due to economic conditions, because obviously Torino don't just go and splash money around like that themselves. So that was the first club, and then we had Inter and Bologna, who have had direct contacts regarding Christian Aslani. And again, the mention of Torino by Alfredo Pedulla here. And Bologna's technical director, Giovanni Sartori, was actually present to watch him yesterday. And I thought he had a good game yesterday when he did play against Monza. Again, some people said he found his level, but let's be real. So at some point it's a bit much trolling. But yeah, it was a good game for the Bologna technical director to watch him, right? But I want to know if you would sell him to Bologna or to Torino, and who do you think would be able to offer more?
Bologna is going to be able to offer more, as well as European football.
True.
I think Torino is the better spot because he's not going to compete at Torino.
Yeah.
For starting, right? He goes in, he can be like, he's one of those players that they're going to be playing, right? And if he wants to play in Italy, it's Torino.
Yeah.
Because Bologna has midfielders that are more ready to play than than he is. Play Italiano ball than he is. So
did Torino sign a replacement yet for Samuele Ricci?
No, I don't think so.
There you go.
So, they also they find someone from somewhere as well. Like they just pop up these players out of nowhere.
I guess.
Sometimes
I guess, yeah.
So
it doesn't really matter then who he goes to, because I feel like both clubs will kind of try and lowball and just not really offer as much as Inter want, because Inter want between 15 and 20 million, we know this. So, or 50 million or less than 50 million, sorry, like 12, 13, 14 with a sell-on clause. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully something more concrete by the end of, by the next episode. Some more news, guys. Jan Zuberek has been impressing the under-23 staff, who obviously came back from his loan, which, when you come back from a loan, even with this newly under-23 side, it's always difficult to kind of find your spot. But he's come back and impressed, which is good to see. Still far from being ready for, Inter's first team, but it's good that he's working on himself, working on his weaknesses, and for the time being, he'll stay unless they sign an experienced striker. Was the tweet by Alampia. I didn't add it in here, but that was basically the whole point of the tweet, is that unless the under-23 side signs an experienced striker, he will be the main guy next to Spinace. And then, yeah, I guess he already has experience. Yeah, it's good. And to finish off outgoings, I think, outgoings, is the potential loan of Matteo Motta to Lumezzane, again, another Serie C side, who's actually, obviously, Inter going to play them, Inter 23 are going to play them in the Serie C Coppa Italia. So he's set to leave. We're just awaiting the official confirmation on that. And then, guys, we have some quotes from, like I mentioned earlier, the Italian Football Podcast, and Simone Tonia, who's obviously a good journalist, works for FC Inter News, works for Tuttosport as well, I think. I think I has it in here. Yeah, Sport Media said to a couple of outlets. And then, yeah, some interesting quotes. We knew this already, but just confirmed again, Simone Inzaghi had agreed every detail of his Al Hilal contract before the 2025 Champions League final. I can see you shaking your head from the corner of my eye. All that was left for Inzaghi to sign is his contract. Inter was aware that Inzaghi was likely going to leave, so guys, no, FCLM Thomas is not the reason why we lost the Champions League final. Like, look, or maybe he is, right? Maybe he is. Okay, let's just, for the memes, we'll say he is. But the tweets, our tweets are the reason why. No, but clearly this was a problem. Clearly this was a problem, and it's not a good look at all. What else?
Nope.
This,
And shame on the management.
yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'll
Thank
say.
you for adding that, because that is horror management. One of Christian Kiewel's first conversations when he arrived at Inter was to make sure Davide Frattesi stays at the club. Now, there was some rumors that I read again this week that Premier League clubs are still interested. Make of that what you want, right? I don't think, if Kiewel said this, then he's staying. He's staying.
Yeah.
And then also, which is interesting, is that Piero Ausilio had been following, you mentioned this earlier, Giovanni Leoni since the defender was at Padova. Now, that is when he was like 16, turning 17, right? That is before he moved to Sampdoria in 2023, even, I believe. That is way back. That's 2 years ago, right? And you can't secure him.
This is Arsene Wenger saying he almost signed Messi. I don't believe a single thing that comes out of that guy's mouth.
Yeah, it's poor. It's actually poor, guys. You're missing out on a big player. And then yeah, guys, again, make sure you go watch this is only 3 quotes I picked out here, but make sure you go watch the interview with Simone Tonia, some good background information.
Yeah, Nima, the Italian Football Podcast, is doing a transfer deep dive with all the top teams. They're bringing in journalists for specific teams, so that's what Simone Tonia was on there for, was for Inter. So all you Inter fans,
exactly,
give it a listen.
Specifically
it's free
for
on
Inter.
YouTube and wherever you find podcasts. It's good. It'll give you all the information that you want and more.
Yeah. And then, guys, we have some quotes from Piero Ausilio in an interview with Gazzetta, who said the transfers to Inter are most proud of: Kovacic and Brozovic, and then Onana signed for free and sold for 55 million after 1 year. And then, of course, others like Lautaro, Bissek, and Thuram. That Onana deal is still crazy when you think about it. And then next up, we have his biggest regret, which is Xtra Kvaratskhelia. But obviously that couldn't work out because Inter was playing a 3-5-2 and still is. And he's a 4-3-3 player, you know? So it's a shame. But imagine, I know you're shaking your head, imagine what Xtra Kvaratskhelia would have done at Inter.
What did Napoli sign him for?
Like 20 million, if even.
Really? They signed him for 20 million?
Let me double check, because he joined from Rubin Kazan, right? Let me double check.
Yeah, I'll just talk about it a little bit while you're searching that up. It's ridiculous, because if we're now thinking about, if you're thinking about the future, right? Are you thinking that you're going to play a 3-5-2 forever? And if not, the Kvaratskhelia doesn't just play as a winger. He plays as a striker sometimes in his national team, right? Because he's the best attacker that Georgia has. So he obviously has the capabilities of playing other places, but also it gives you the opportunity to play other formations, which is what we signed Zalewski for, which is what we're trying to sign Lookman for. And that was 2 years ago. Simone Inzaghi wanted signings to give him some different options and plan Bs and plan Cs, and you get an opportunity like that and you're like, nah, he's from Georgia, so no way, right? Which just goes back to Inter's management and the Serie A only type of Mercato that we try to do. So
yeah. Very much outdated behavior. I want you to guess what Napoli paid for Kvaratskhelia.
I'm if I remember correctly, it's somewhere closer to 10 million.
It was 13.3 million euros.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. And then I agree with what you said, by the way. I was listening. I know I didn't look like it, but I was listening.
Yeah.
And then on Piero Ausilio, again, there's some more quotes on Inter Xtra. If you want to go search it up, just go to Inter Xtra, search up Ausilio in the search bar. We have some rumors that apparently Al Hilal, obviously we know who's managing them right now, is looking to appoint a new sporting director, and one of the names on the board, one of the names the board appreciates most is Inter's Piero Ausilio. I don't see much in it because it was a rumor that was, I think, confirmed by 2 or 3 different sources on the same day, like 4 days ago, and we haven't heard from it since. So I wouldn't say that this is anything concrete unless we hear about it on a regular basis. Then you might be able to pin down if this is actually happening or not. but I
Yeah,
don't think this is anything serious personally. Um, yeah, you wanna
I hope
mention
it is.
anything?
No, just I did. I don't know. I can't remember if it was. I was looking at Inter Extra's post, and I'm trying to find it at the moment, but that it kind of was shut down for the moment. That he's not moving before the Mercato ends.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like he's gonna finish his job here before that even begins to be discussed. And I hope it's discussed quickly, efficiently, um, and to his benefit. I hope he can go get the bag.
Literally, yeah. He can sort out his whole entire extended family, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, guys, just to finish off, we have some quotes from Luis Enrique, who was also interviewed by Gazzetta. He said, "All the guys call me Gigi." Obviously, Luis is, the Brazilian or Portuguese version of Luigi, right? So that's why they call him Gigi. I don't know who started it, but everyone calls me it now. I like it. Makes me feel even more Interista, which is cute. And then on his positioning, he said, "I play on the right where I can study Dumfries. I really want to become a great player like him. But I also like playing on the left and moving inside to become unpredictable." We saw the goal against the under 23s, obviously. "I think I have the qualities to do this." Well, we'll see. We'll see if you have the qualities to do this. For me, Inter also means Ronaldo el Fenomeno. He's one of my favorite players. Idol of mine. He's got taste, obviously,
Yep. Yeah. He knows the things to say as a Brazilian as well.
Yeah, it's good media trained answer, yes.
Yeah.
And then he said, "I get along with Carlos Augusto well because we're both Brazilian. Also, Lautaro gives me advice, but everyone has welcomed me. This dressing room is full of respect and made of strong and humble people." Good to hear this.
Yeah.
And then finally, he said about him possibly playing for Brazil in the national team. He said, "I haven't spoken to Carlo Ancelotti about the Seleção, but I have to prove on the pitch that I deserve to be called up. It's not impossible, and playing for Inter gives me greater visibility." Obviously, we had Carlos Augusto, who was called up 2 or 3 times, I think twice in 2023 towards the back end of the year, and once like in one of the more recent national international breaks. It's definitely possible, but he needs to just play regularly
Mhm.
in order to, kind of similar with Carlos Augusto, just prove yourself, maybe try and put some pressure on Dumfries, and then, the wingback position is where they're struggling anyway in Brazil. So
Yep.
I think this is definitely more than possible for him to earn a spot
Yeah.
there, yeah.
And they would pair each other well on the Brazilian national team.
Imagine,
Like,
yeah, imagine
yeah, like
both Inter
because
backup fullbacks
Augusto,
in that
because
national team.
they leak defensively. They're not very structured defensively. Brazil.
Yeah,
I think of course Ancelotti is going to help with that, but um, yeah, you've got him on the left side, and then you've got this winger that's being pushed back to wing back on the right side. It's a good balance, I think. So, yeah, and just one more thing. Of course, he said that Ronaldo's his idol, Ronaldinho and Neymar, but he said that he met Maicon,
oh yeah, the
and
Club World Cup. I read that, yeah.
mhm, and I hope a little bit of that rubbed off on him. Got another
Yeah, just the
Brazilian
handshake.
wing
The
back.
handshake has to be like
Uh-huh.
carrying over some of the DNA or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know. No,
that's what I'm hoping for.
I like the fact that you mentioned that, guys. Final tweet of the day is that Inter has risen to third in the UEFA club rankings, behind only Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Guys, that's a trophy, I think, to put in the trophy cabinet. There's space below the scars in the background on your thingy. There's space on my shelf as well, guys. If you want to put that trophy there, let's go. That's a podium. Um, yeah, just a little
Yeah,
info.
it's the work we've done for the past 5 years.
Yeah, again, no trophy to show for internationally, but it's good to know that there's something that's obviously moving in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do just want to say as a reminder, guys, again, there's a friendly on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. against Olympiacos, and also the cup game. Let me see if I can find it. Inter under 23 versus, what was it, Lumezzane?
Yep.
Let's see when the game is. So it's at 9 p.m. So pretty much
Cool.
starts 30 minutes after the friendly, so you can watch the final 30 minutes of this game after you finished watching the friendly. So yeah, those are the two next games to watch out for. And then Sean, I'll leave it over to you to do a little
Yeah,
outro.
I do wanna mention, so in the United States, DAZN has been covering a lot of these friendlies. They do have it on demand. So in America, you can go to DAZN on their app for free. You can watch this. And then the U23, still have to figure out where we can watch those things. I know, of course, if you're in Italy, it's going to be a little bit easier. But when I'll try and figure that out. If I do, you'll see it from me. And I'm sure once I figure that out, Thomas or Simi will be able to post that on Inter Extra because that'll be good for everyone to know. But yeah, other than that, thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, hit the like button, share, hit the subscribe, leave a comment about your favorite thing that we talked about, anything that we missed, and then yeah, go follow us on Twitter, retweet our stuff, leave replies, comments, give us likes, share with your friends, bring some more Interisti into our wonderful community, and yeah, always, guys, Forza Inter Sempre.
What's up?